are a light in the darkness, we are ensuring that everyone feels they belong. Refugees and their neighbours in Kirklees and further afield have been sharing stories with one another, using their precious objects that communicate something about a sense of belonging. Each person has responded to their partner's story at home by making shadow puppets or retelling the tale using everyday objects. They've also made a Street of Belonging banner by drawing their own houses and sending them to artist Naomi Parker to put together. Two of the storytellers are here with us today. Introducing David and his son Joseph, who is Czech Roma, living in Linthwaite near Huddersfield, with much treasured rocking horse Teacup, who belonged to David's wife and Joseph's mum, Ruth. This is Marilene from Dewsbury, holding the beautiful quilt made for her by her mother in Brazil, where Marilene grew up. What follows is their response to one another's stories and the long conversations they have had about the nature of belonging.
Belonging is not a simple matter, as my friend Marilene could tell us. Marilene has been all over the world, and she hasn't always felt that she fitted in. And she told me a story about a quilt. I haven't got a quilt. I have a map. And I'd like you to imagine with me that this map is Marilene's quilt. And now we must go back to the beginning. It begins in Brazil, when Marilene was a young woman. Marilene wanted to go to university in another town, and she was a Christian. And the Bible taught her to respect her mother and her father. She wanted their blessing before she would go. So she asked her mother, and her mother couldn't decide. So they agreed that they would speak to her father, and the discussion went backwards and forwards and backwards and forwards. And Marilene's father said she should go. Her mother was shocked. But she kept her word, and as the father had given his permission, she would also give her blessing. Marilene's world started to get bigger. Meanwhile, Marilene's mother started to make a quilt. She never measured or used a pattern. She instinctively knew what colours would go together and what colours would clash and what shapes went together. And what shapes wouldn't. Marilene came home for Christmas, and her mother gave her the quilt. This meant more than words ever could or words ever would. Marilene has moved across the world, from Brazil to London and now to Yorkshire. The quilt has always accompanied her, has always been on her bed. Marilene's faced hard times, but she's always had her faith in God. And God has now brought her a good man and recently blessed them. With twin daughters. And now, Marilene is making quilts to give to her daughters as they embark on their own journeys. Wherever those journeys might take them.
Our story is in memory of an amazing person who always put others' needs first. Little Ruth was a child who never asked for things. But one day, when her mother took her to see Father Christmas, she asked for a rocking horse. It was an expensive gift. Her mother told her that she might not get it. Ruth believed that Christmas was magical and she would get it. Her mum didn't want to quench her belief and worked hard to buy it. For many years to come, Ruth believed the magic of Christmas, not knowing the sacrifices her mother made to give her beloved teacup, the rocking horse. It brought a lot of happiness to her and her siblings. When Ruth became an adult and got married, teacup was the first thing she took home. Teacup became as important to her 4 children and foster children as it was for her. Ruth never thought she was the favorite child or even loved. But teacup was her mother's way to show that she was dearly loved. Teacup has been part of a family for a long time and bring happiness to all who live or had lived in the house. Now the household is smaller, only David and his younger son. But teacup is still part of their lives. And they all agree that if they need to flee, they would take teacup with them to remind them of all the good things they went through as family.